Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host, and today I'm thrilled to have Mark Bishop with us. Mark is the founder of Mark Bishop Media and host of Nothing Like a Good Book, a podcast introducing listeners to talented new authors and diving deep into what drives them to write. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sheila. It's lovely to be here.
So before we dive into your podcasting journey, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
All right, it's diverse, and we don't have too long, so I won't, go down the long road. I'll take a shortcut. Basically, I was in the media for many years in Australia. You're from a different country. I'm from a different country, but I've lived here, nearly 20 years now in the States. And after a long, successful career in the media, I got into real estate, where I was marketing and selling luxury resorts for major brands as project directors. And then I decided that I was going to do something else for myself. And basically, I created a free-to-air television network in Australia called AFTUS. Went on a cruise and met my future wife. I didn't know that at the time, but I did. Long story short, it brought me to America, and I started all over again, entrepreneuring, doing different things. And I did some radio talk back here in Arizona, which I loved and enjoyed. And then eventually I opened up my own studio about 8 years ago now for podcasting, where I teach clients and small business how to be able to get the best out of, what they're trying to do. And that's business to business. So that's about it.
Yes, and you have multiple podcasts. But today I wanted to talk about one specific podcast, and that one is Nothing Like a Good Book. Can you tell us a little bit about the pivotal moment that led you to create this specific podcast to help authors get discovered by different podcast audiences and people that listen to podcasts?
Sure. I had a lot of people talk to me and say, look, why don't you do a podcast with authors? Not all authors have done 2, 3, 4 books. They're not all, Clancy's and so on and famous authors. There are a lot of startups, a lot of brand new authors who want to be authors, haven't done anything yet. So they need help. And I love helping people, but I love interviewing. And I love going in depth with people and finding out what really motivated them. What was the turn-on point for them to want to do it? A lot of people want to write books. 81% apparently of a survey I just read said that 81% of Americans want to actually write a book. So I thought, well, maybe I can do something to help along these lines. Of course, it's a business, but I've got to be fair in pricing, and that's what I'll be. So I'll create something, and I started with Nothing Like a Good Book as a podcast. There's over 100 now, nearly 100 different authors that have come through. Great stories have come out of it and success for the authors. And what I'm really trying to do once my site launches is to be able to offer right through from A to Z in reference to from all marketing strategies and cross-purpose marketing and all sorts of things that can help an author not only write the book, conceptualize the book, get it done, proofread perhaps, edited, printed, published, all that type of thing, right up to marketing it, because that's what's critical. And this is where different budgets come into play, and depending on the book, and depending on what they want to do, and so on. So, my site is nearly finished, called Nothing Like a Good Book, and that will have all of that on that, Sheila, to explain. Because it does depend. I actually start with an interview, and also I give social media marketing and podcast platform marketing throughout America. But as you go on, people are going to want other things, as you can imagine. There's all sorts of social media to do. There's all sorts of reels, as they're called, in shorts, because I do interview online, so it's visual. And the audio of it, though, that is recorded is also promoted across all the various podcast platforms that I'm on. And so it's a double whammy. The vision goes to YouTube and to other platforms showing the interview, where I love to show the book cover. Some of the book covers today are beautiful, how they're done. The artwork is gorgeous. So between the front cover and the back cover, and sometimes the authors like to show a couple of pictures from the book itself inside when they talk about particular things. So national television is another thing that that I'll be offering in the way. In fact, the show will be going on national television. There's all sorts of things one can do when it comes to the wheel of marketing and cross-purposing. And that's why I got excited about your particular product with Pod to Book, because, boy, what can I do there for authors that, don't really want to write, but they're very good talkers, and I'd love to interview them, and we can convert that within a couple of days into a book for them. So that'll be great, too.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Pod to Book. I haven't spoken much about it in this podcast because I'm usually interviewing people like you. And I was going to ask you, as the publishing industry continues to evolve, we have technology, we've got audiobooks, we have AI generated content, we have new distribution methods, how you were preparing to transform or renew your approach.
Well, that's just it. I've mentioned a few, but there are lots of things. But of course, nothing's cheap these days from a point of view of, marketing. It does come down to independent budgets, what people can afford comfortably, and what they'd like to try and do. I think what is important, Sheila, is they need to be explained to and told categorically from the beginning that, hey, don't expect 60,000 book sales when you're going to spend nothing. It doesn't work that way. And sometimes it takes ages before it gets noticed or picked up or found. So I make it very clear. I'm very transparent to my authors when they say, well, look, I'd love to come with you and do this and do that. I say, well, what's the range? What do you really want to do? What do you want to get out of this book? What is your goal? Is it just sales and to make money, or is it to get a point across? Because, I can offer you right up to a screenplay and make a movie. Well, I've always wanted to do that, but how much is that going to cost? Well, it certainly isn't going to be Hollywood's budgets, I can tell you that. But I'm fortunate enough to where we can make good movies for around 10 grand. We can do that today. So we can make a nice quality movie for you, but you'd need that sort of budget, okay? Because I'm very fortunate where I live with a lot of screen talent and writers and directors and cinematographers and so on, and we've got that talent here where I live. So they get a lot of work out of it too, which is great. A screenplay, well, we can do that, and you're welcome to take it to Hollywood if you want. Good luck. It's yours. You own it. Or we come all the way back to where, look, let's do the interview and let's repurpose the interview. We can do social media with it. We can do all the reels and shorts. But there's lots of things one can do, put it that way. Okay. It's a matter of defining what your goals and dreams are, where you'd like to take it. Because if it's just a book that you really want to hand out to people because you'd like to be on the speaking tour, or you want it as a lead magnet because you're very shy at going to network marketings or the B&Is of the world or whatever, and you'd like to hand something out instead, then, that's very different to writing your novel or writing your full-on book where you want to take it a lot further. So that's really the honest answer when it comes to all of that. It depends on the author.
Well, since you mentioned Pod to Book, I'm going to just explain in a few minutes what the tool is.
Did I do that?
I think you liked it. We talked about it before the show.
I love it. I'm blown away by it, to be honest. And I can't wait to be offering this to. I guess my market is going to be somebody that wants to write a book, but doesn't feel they got the time to sit down between everything else, or they don't feel they could write. Okay, and it's not a matter of saying, ChatGPT, write the book for me, because that's not on either. But here's the reality. How about we interview you, or there's another way of recording that you'd like to do? And from that, Pod the Book steps in and takes a bow. Isn't that right?
In about 2.5 hours, you have a manuscript that will be in your inbox, and then you can proofread it so you don't need that ghostwriter. You can create these book chapters using your voice. I think it'd be great if somebody that doesn't know where to start reached out to you and said, Mark, can you interview me so that I get 10 conversations that I can turn into my book? Because with your experience, you would know, what questions to ask and what questions could make great chapters for this book. But for those that don't know what Pod to Book AI is, it is a software tool that I built because I was one of those 80% that Mark mentioned earlier, one of these Americans that has been wanting to write her book. And even though I am in a writing class and I love to write creatively, I wanted my business book. I wanted to pass some of those insights. And so I took this very same microphone and crafted 11 different episodes, each one using my voice. And then in about 2.5 hours, I got a manuscript in my inbox. Now, I do want to be clear before we continue with your questions that once I received the manuscript that was developed, right, that manuscript transcribed using Pod to Book AI, that all of the content was reviewed, verified, edited, and refined by me, the author, prior to publication.
That's right at the very beginning, isn't it, of the book?
Yes, and I talk about, because my book is called Momentum, Daily Practices to Build and Thrive, I talk about how I was able to use some of these practices in building this very same tool. And this also serves as my proof of concept, even though I'm not the first book that's been published using my tool. I'm very proud. So now I want to be on your podcast because I'm an author.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you are an author, and congratulations. You must be very proud of yourself. I saw you open the box and the books arrived from Amazon. What a thrill. In fact, I'm writing mine right now. I mean, I have done a shorter one, but it's a business book for my podcasting for profit, but it's more of a flip ebook sort of thing that can't go up on Amazon because it's not enough pages. But my book that I'm actually writing for the movie called Night Waves, which will be shot next year, that is what I'm in the middle of now. So that'll be my first book that'll come out from that point of view. But yeah, man, this is an incredible. It's an incredible invention. Full credit to you. There's uses for everything, you know. I think people are, so many people are worried about AI, aren't they, when it comes down to it, Sheila? But there are so many good uses of it too, that can be utilized. It's a matter of knowing what. But I tell you what you've got to be careful of in Nothing Like a Good Book, that I do try to offer now with the show. I'm bringing on people who, like yourself, have something to offer, the niche. Excuse me, they have something to offer the industry as a whole. And I'll also have lawyers coming on and certain publishers coming on, publishing lawyers, I should say, because I'm a little concerned at what I'm hearing out there with the scams that are going on in the industry and what a lot of novice authors are being charged to do things. And, it's not fair. It's not right. So I want to make it very clear. If you want to do, an interview with me on Nothing Like a Good Book, you call me, email me, mark@nlgb.info. Talk to the horse, not the jockey, okay? If you want to do that. And you'll find out what the pricing is directly from me. And look, I'll give you an example. Somebody told me the other day they were charged $8,000 to be on my show. Now, I don't charge anywhere near that. And I don't think that's fair, Sheila, to be honest. So I don't think that sort of stuff should go on in the industry, and we need to protect up and coming authors. That's my point of view. And your software here is going to go a long way towards helping that as well. So that'll be great. But if anybody does, that is the best way to contact me. Mark, MARK, at NLGB, short for Nothing Like a Good Book, .info. Or straight to my site, markbishopmedia.com. So there, that's that. A lot of good things happening, Another show I'll get going eventually is called scamalert.tv. I'm trying to get that one off the ground, You've got you people say, what the Americans say, oh, wheelhouse, in my wheelhouse, right? Look at your wheelhouse. Look what you've done and achieved in your diplomas and degrees and your business consultancy. Look how far you've come and look what you've achieved for nothing. Now you're an author, right? And the book pertains to what you're actually doing. And that's wonderful. And that's what my other business, Podcasting for Profit, with the numeral 4, podcastingforprofit.com, that's geared at helping businesses for business to business. That's a different ball game altogether again. But if any authors are listening or potential authors, by all means, just you can check it all out. So what are you going to do next? What's your next book? May I ask you? I know you're interviewing me, but
Yes. My next book will be the one that precedes Momentum: Daily Practices to Build Your Business and Thrive. And I'm putting on my consulting hat and sharing the steps and the practices that I've used when I've helped mentored, coach, or consult lots and lots and lots of aspiring and existing entrepreneurs throughout my career.
Mhm.
And so it'll be a series because it's the before, the during, and then perhaps I can do a third one with the after. But my next book precedes Momentum, the one that's out officially right now.
No, it's like a volume 2 then, sort of thing. Is that right? Like a volume 2?
Correct. I've seen marketing wise, and I don't know, I'm going to reach out to you for consulting, that marketing wise, that it works beautifully to have a series because one book connects to the other. So I'm experimenting, but I am so excited because with the new tool that I built, it's only about 60 days old. You're like a child that is able
Yeah.
to
Wonderful.
use conversations, use the voice, and without having to hire a ghostwriter or somebody, to take months to write from beginning to end a book, that I hand people to convert it to a manuscript. And so we'll
Well,
see.
shortens the process in big time. And I'll give you an example. I just thought of something in one of my interviews of one of my authors. Goes by the name of Kevin Shuey. He's a heart surgeon by trade, but he's an author by love and hobby. Well, we had a fantastic interview. And I tell you what, you never know who's going to hear your interviews. Globally, this is, by the way. Long story short, he's won now 500 different awards around the globe for the screenplays that he's written from his books. And it's going to be turned into a movie. Hollywood's wrapped. They're going to do TV series, God knows what. Bad Love Tigers, Bad Love Boys. But that all started out there because somebody heard the message, right? And people say, but our podcast, there's 2.8 million. Yes, there are. But the reality is this: you can be heard if you're targeted correctly. Targeting's one thing, but it's people who are interested. That's the beauty of podcasting. That's the beauty of your interviews with podcasting. You're not running across the dial trying to be entertained. right? There might only be 300 listeners in one particular situation, Sheila, but they're all very, very intentional listeners. You know, they're your followers, they're your listeners, and they're intentional. So they're interested. Whereas somebody else might have 10,000, somebody else might have 1,000,000, half their luck, because they're the ones that get so-called monetized because the big brands and the advertising agencies only want to advertise with them because they've got so many listeners, just like the same old, same old. But it will change, I feel, when it's going to get down to people realizing that you're better off having something dedicated to that you can enjoy. And, if you can walk the dog and drive the car and mow the lawn and listen to your favorite podcast that you enjoy, whatever you get out of it, it's a thriller, a crime, a business book, a religious message. There's so many denominations to choose from that turns you on. You're the listener. So that's the power of podcasting. So I believe that authors and potential authors have a wonderful opportunity with this medium to be really heard out there. And even more so now that we've got Pod to Book.
Yes, you can transform those conversations into a book.
My word.
Well, Mark, this has been fantastic. Thank you for sharing your insights, for sharing your next milestone with us, and for all the incredible work that you're doing to connect the readers with amazing authors.
Well, I'm honored to be on your show. Thank you. I've been a listener for some time, and you're growing in stature all the time. And I'm so thrilled for you with this because, to watch you open your box and get your books, your very first ones, and in your case, you're giving them to your children. Lovely. What a lovely gesture. And they must be very proud of their mom, I can tell you now.
Keep them next to your bed, kids.
There you go. So thank
Got
you
your
for
practice there.
having me on 5 Milestones, Sheila. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.